Hey folks, it's Reclaimer here. Hope that you're doing well. Today I'm doing a video on something that I've actually purchased more than 3 months ago and I've been using on an almost daily basis for the last 3 months. Apple AirPods with wireless charging case. I held off on doing this video for two reasons. One, there's a ton of AirPod videos out there, so I was like, what's the point? Secondly, though, I wanted to actually make sure I had been using the AirPods enough so I could give good, well-tested opinion. So after some deliberation with myself, I decided, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make a video. So again, I've been using these Apple AirPods with wireless charging case for the last 3 months, almost every single day. I use them at the gym. I use them when I'm sitting around doing some work and I want to listen to podcasts. I use it to take conference calls or do work calls, personal calls, to listen to stuff through my Apple TV when I don't want to disturb anybody. I use this pretty much all the time when I need to be using headphones. And what I'm going to be doing with this video is I'm not doing an unboxing, I'm not doing anything like that, but what I want to do is I want to give you my honest opinion about how the AirPods have kind of integrated themselves into my life and would I recommend them. And it's kind of interesting timing because, as we know, Apple had also come out with the AirPods Pro with the noise canceling, a different design, things along those lines. And most folks want to get the latest and greatest, right? You're usually looking for, oh, I got to get the AirPods Pro, right? I want the noise canceling. Totally cool, right? But I do think that there's absolutely still a market for the regular AirPods that don't have the active noise canceling. I definitely think there's a huge market for it. I know for me personally, I would not be upgrading to the AirPods Pro, and I'm going to talk about that in the video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I held off on getting AirPods for quite a while. There's a couple reasons for that. One of the reasons for that is I didn't want to give in to the trends, right? I think that there's a lot of memes and a lot of truth to some of those memes, actually, that the Apple AirPods are kind of like a little bit of a status symbol. One of the reasons I actually held off on getting AirPods was I didn't want to be somebody that gave into those trends. I thought anyway that what I had was working great. I was using some Jaybird X2 headphones. They were wireless headphones. They had a little cable that wrapped around here, which was kind of cool. And I used those for about 2 years. And I only really used them primarily when I was at the gym listening to music. And then I started traveling more for work. And I wanted to be taking calls for work or for school or personal calls while I'm walking around the airport, while I'm walking to and from office buildings or to my hotel or from my hotel. And as I started to use those Jaybirds, I started to get a little more annoyed with using them. Not because they had poor sound quality or poor battery life, but they didn't work all the time. They had funky bugs that would make my life a little bit harder, especially when I was on conference calls for work and for school. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try out the AirPods. So I was actually traveling on business. I had an Amazon locker that I could go ahead and get these AirPods delivered to. I got them, I charged them up, I paired them. They paired simply by me opening up the AirPods and boom, it was paired to my phone automatically and I was off to the races. I use these now pretty much every day and I do that for two reasons. One, they're convenient. And two, I have them, I might as well use them, and it gives me the ability to give you an honest opinion as to what I think about them. So let's go ahead and talk about the pros first. Let's talk about the pros. All right. Couple things when it comes to pros. The first thing, and I've mentioned this a couple times throughout the video, these just work. And I'm saying that testing them primarily on Apple devices, okay? So I've paired these to my iPhone, my iPad, and my Apple TV, and my MacBook Pro, and it just works. Once I had these paired to my iPhone from that initial setup, I was able to, go in, tinker with the settings, set how I wanted the tap gestures to work and how I wanted Siri to work, and things just work. Every time I open the case, almost every time, and I'll get to that, every time I open the case, I can listen to my music, I can listen to my podcast. If someone comes to talk to me while I'm listening to something and I take one of my AirPods out of my ear, it pauses. When I put it back, it resumes right where it paused. So it's really nice to have something that kind of you can set it and forget it. And I tend to use that phrase a lot when I'm talking about Apple products, because once you have it set up, they tend to just work for the most part. I think number two, the design is very nice, right? So it's a nice, sleek Apple design that we've come to know and love about Apple products. Everything feels premium. Everything feels so nice. Even opening up and closing the case, it just feels just fun to do. It's a nice little fidgety thing that you can do if you want. The AirPods just kind of go right in, and then they kind of snap. I don't want to say snap. Maybe they just kind of sink right into their spots, and you can tell it's like magnetically in there, and they start charging. It's kind of a really nice design. The third thing I really enjoy is the battery life. Now, some people are gonna be like, whoa, the battery life, I don't like the battery life, or I do like it, you know. Here's my impression of this. So I think that the audio quality, and I'll get to that, the audio quality is pretty darn good out of these AirPods. Pretty darn good. And we have dual microphones, we have tap gestures, we have Siri, everything kind of being able to run out through these AirPods. And to be able to get 3 hours of talk time or 5 hours of listening time out of these tiny little AirPods, I think is pretty darn good. And not only that, but I think that Apple's been pretty true to their statement that you're going to get 3 to 5 hours depending on what you're doing. The charging case charges these up nice and fast. So if you, as Apple states, you put your dead or low battery AirPods in the charging case, you're going to get another 2 to 3 hours after about 15 or 20 minutes. I found that statement to be pretty true. Let's talk about sound quality. I think that for the most part, the sound quality is pretty darn good. I think that you get some pretty good bass, you get some pretty good high and mids. And you can hear dialogue really good when you're listening to podcasts or video. The music, I think, is pretty poppy. Like you can really kind of get into the music. It doesn't sound washed out. It doesn't sound overly not overly trebly. I think that it's pretty well balanced for this. Now, can you get other wireless headphones that have better audio quality? Sure, but I still think that you're getting really good audio quality out of this. All right, so let's talk about the cons, right? So there are definitely some cons to these AirPods, right? The first and kind of most glaring con that popped in my head immediately when I started thinking about like a cons list is there are some times where this kind of glitches weird and there's some bugs or there's something going on. A couple things I've experienced. So one thing I experienced was that the case didn't seem to recognize that the AirPods were in it. So I was at the gym one day, I open up my case and I put my one AirPod in and I hear the little tone for that the batteries are dead. And I'm like, oh, okay. But the case was charged. So it was definitely a weird little glitch. It only happened once, never happened again. Very weird. Another glitch that I've experienced is sometimes the automatic audio detection or the automatic ear detection doesn't work the way that it should. So there's times where I open up the case, I put in my right ear pod, then I put in my left one, and I still only get audio out of this one. Even though both of them are in, both of them are charged, I only get audio out of one or the other. I don't get it out of both. I've had to reset the AirPods twice. So I actually had to reset the pairing of the AirPods to my device twice. And both of those times it was in response to some type of weird software glitch that I just couldn't figure out how to resolve it. So, you basically press and hold the button on the back of the AirPods charging case. It resets the pairing of those. And then I repaired it, and repairing is super simple. But that was like the biggest con, is that I do tend to have some type of glitches or software bugs. So I mentioned before in the pros that these just work most of the time. There are still some times that it just doesn't work the way that it should. But you know what? That happens. It happens with technology. I would say maybe out of the 3 months that I've used these AirPods, I've had glitches 5 times out of 3 months. So it's a pretty good success rate when you think about it. From another cons perspective, I think keeping these clean is a pain in the rear. One of the things that I think that definitely is a little bit of a con, and it's not necessarily specific to the AirPods, it's specific to all in-ear headphones, is that they are somewhat hard to keep clean. You know, if you're at the gym, you're sweating a lot, you have earwax, everybody has earwax, and it gets on the EarPods, or it gets in the speaker grills and or in the case. One of the things that I found with these, it was, you know, because they're so small, and the speaker grates, I mean, look at how small the entrance is here, and then it's a grill, right? So I found that it's kind of hard to keep these clean, so I end up using things like toothpicks or Q-tips or cotton swabs or something like that, and I have to be really careful so that it's not like I'm putting whatever dirt or whatever into the speaker grill or hurting the speaker grill. I have to be very gentle with it. It's something that you want to keep in mind is, and again, this happens to every in-ear product. It's not specific to the AirPods. I think what might be more specific to the AirPods is because they're smaller, because of the design of them, sometimes it's a little hard to keep them as clean as you would like to keep them clean. All right, so in conclusion, would I recommend the AirPods with wireless charging case, especially now that we have the AirPods Pro out in the world? My answer to that question is, for most people, yes. I have found these to be well priced. They work almost all the time. They have great battery life, and they have pretty darn good sound for what they are. And now that the AirPod Pros are out, you're going to find that a lot of retailers have these cheaper than Apple's list price. The list price of these AirPods with wireless charging case is $200 US. I was able to pick these up for my wife recently for a Christmas gift, and I was able to get them for $165 US. So pretty decent discount. I mean, if you're in an environment that you need active noise canceling, and you happen to like the more, I'm going to call the hot dog case versus this hamburger case, and the newer design with the ear tips, you know, okay, I could see you maybe wanting to have that. But I think for most people, going with this is going to save you a little bit of money, and you're going to get the functionality, and you're going to get what you want out of this. In conclusion, there's absolutely a place. These are still extremely relevant for folks that do not need active noise canceling earbuds. I think for most people, the AirPods with wireless charging case are going to be the best value for your money, and I also think that you're going to get great performance for the money that you're spending. So, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Let me know in the comments below. Go ahead and do that. You know, leave a comment. Let me know if you agree or not and why. Tell me why. That'd be cool. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. That'd be great. And if you want to see more of my videos, I'm posting pretty much every week now. If you want to see more of my videos about tech, travel, prepping, EDC, computers, sometimes the occasional pet sneaks in the video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell that tells you when I have a video. That's it. So until next time, this is Reclaimer. We'll talk to you soon.